Howdy everybody, Mike here, another garden update with the Mike's Homestead channel. Well guys, I just want to start off with the corn. In one of my earlier videos I had said I didn't think this stuff was going to grow, but as you can see I'm roughly about 5'8", 5'9", and it's a little taller than me, so it's doing way better than I thought it was going to.
Well, I know anybody can show you how tall their corn is, but I actually want to show you it is producing. You can see here's an ear of corn. This is my first crop. I do two crops about a month apart from each other. This is the first crop. This is the edge of my second crop, right down the edge of the garden. But I want to show you about 3 weeks ago, I put some peas down in here just to see if I could get anything out of the end of the year because our first crop of peas is already done, picked, and eaten. But you can see there's some peas growing. I don't expect much, but we'll see what happens. Now down here at the bottom of the hill from all the corn, I planted some radishes. These are a watermelon radish. But here, I'll pull one out really quick and show it to you. There it is. And if you cut them open, they kind of have that look of a watermelon on the inside. This, I believe, is supposed to come all the way out to that.
I have roughly around 200 tomato plants.
As you can see, we're starting to get reds. I'm roughly doing about 10 a day now, so it's just a matter of time when you're going to be canning. Because last year when I hit about 10 a day, about a week later, I was doing about 20 a day. By the end of the week, I was doing about 70 a day. I actually have about 100 more plants than I did last year, so we'll see what happens. Now these few down here are just the second crop. They're roughly about 3 feet high. If they produce, great. If they don't, it doesn't matter. Got quite a bit of productivity on the cherry tomatoes, though. I also have tomato berries, which are a really neat-looking tomato. They kind of look like a strawberry. But I know this one over here is producing the most. You can kind of see. They're really cool looking. And they got a way different taste than a regular cherry tomato. Well, as some of you have been following me, I've talked about my Blair Witch Project trellis, and this harnesses all my heirloom tomatoes. The only one I see out of all of them, I believe, it's a big rainbow. That's the only one that's starting to turn red. And then these, they look beautiful. These are a super sauce aroma tomato. Just gotta wait for them to start turning red, but I'm excited about those. Now that bare spot right there was my beans. I've already harvested them all and pickled them. I'm actually gonna put a second crop in. I just tilled it a few days ago, and we're gonna let it settle a little bit, and I'll probably get the crop in a few more days.
What do you see over there?
A pickle.
You see a pickle?
One right here.
Yeah, is that cucumber? It's going to be a pickle?
It's a pickle.
What's on that side? What's over there? See any over there?
No.
No?
Everybody, this is what we call the grand entrance of our garden, but it's actually our trellises for our cucumbers. We're actually producing quite well. Done about 12 quarts of pickles already. I'll give you a little view of what it's looking like. Just a little view. Now one of the things is I just came out here yesterday and picked a bunch of them off of there. But there's still a bunch of them in here yet somewhere. You gotta look for them because they're always hiding on you. Oh, there's one. Well, that right there is my sea of peppers. There's about 48 plants in the ground. For some reason, they did not get very tall. None of them really got tall, but they are doing what they're supposed to be. Some of them are anyways. As we walk around the peppers, right here I notice there's a California wander. Now this plant never really got more than a foot and a half tall, but he's a pretty good sized pepper. As we walk around, the wanders and the bells did not do very well. But got a lot of serranos. Those are producing quite well. And I actually picked a bunch of chilies yesterday and pickled them. My wife likes banana peppers. Those over there, cayenne. I haven't seen any of them turn red. Oh, there's a red one. Red cayenne. And these over here are supposed to be red chilies, but not too many reds popping out of it yet. Well, everybody, that's my zucchini plants right there. There's 5 of them in the ground. I'm actually producing about 4 to 5 a week on an average. As far as zucchini's producing, though, they're actually doing quite well. It's hard to see because the sun's kind of weird right now, but there's a pretty good size one. And then there's another good size one. Oh, there's another one. Oh, there's 2 of them in there. And there's another one. Oh, and another. So as of right now, there's 2, 4, roughly about 6. And like I said, I'm doing about 5, 6 a week. Well, Brussels sprouts ain't one of my favorites, and I'm not very familiar with them, but I thought they got a lot taller. These are roughly about 3 feet high, and as far as productivity, I'm not really sure. Like I said, I've never grown a Brussels sprout before. Oh, there we go. I see something there. Okay. Well, now another thing that I grew is a yellow squash, and this little guy just produced. I just threw one in the ground, and he does that. Now, we also put in roughly, I think, 3 or 4 cantaloupe, and those are actually doing quite well. I've got quite a few of them coming out. I seen him. And I seen another one in here earlier. It was just a random tomato plant that came up from last year. Oh, here's another one. Yeah, I wish the watermelon would have been as productive as the cantaloupe. We always like to plant pumpkins. We think it's fun to plant our own. But look at the size. This is probably the biggest pumpkin I've ever grown. There's my hand. And then there's another. That's my biggest one. And there's another one. There's 3. And I noticed my dog runs back here a lot. And it looks like he knocked this one off the stalk. And then there's another one right there. Now, I did have another plant that was over there, and it was doing quite well, but then we got a bunch of rain, and I think it got too wet down there, because that's what happened to it.
I hear something I hear people talk about a lot, lamb's quarters. You know, I know in other parts of the country, people love this stuff, but around here I've always considered a weed, so I like to take it and throw that damn thing in the garbage.
Another favorite that I've noticed that people like in other parts of the country that I also consider a weed, and I believe it's pronounced purslane, real similar to spinach. But this stuff grows wild everywhere. It's just unbelievable. Now that patch of dirt right there, that was from my potatoes. I've harvested them all this year. They were already done. Amazing. So I actually tilled it up. I'm trying to get some eyes out on some of them potatoes, and I'm going to throw them back in the ground. These were just all random cherry tomato plants from last year. They're roughly about 10 feet from the site they were at last year, but if you look around, I have them everywhere. And like I said, they didn't interfere, so I left them alone. Now, this was something new I tried this year. It's actually about a 5-foot ladder, 4-foot ladder, I should say. And I planted gourds and loofahs on it. Now, gourd-wise, I can see there's some gourds growing here and there. There's another cherry tomato plant growing in here. Oh, let's see if I can find anything cool. I can't find nothing. Oops, stepped on some tomatoes. There's another one. There we go, there's our gourds. I want to say they were a bottleneck. I planted 2 different kinds of gourds. I don't remember what they were. One was a bottleneck, and then I also planted loofahs. That's all sweet basil. There was roughly probably 100 and some odd plants. I plucked over half of them the other day to dry, and I left some of this for fresh. You can see they're starting to go to seed now, but... And my dill. Dill's still doing good. Cilantro, not so good. We got pretty good harvest of it. Unfortunately, the cilantro started dying off before the tomatoes and the peppers were ready, because I was originally planning on making salsa with it. I planted probably about 100 different seeds of iceberg lettuce, and for some reason, I could be wrong, but it grew up about 5-6 feet, and it started seeding already. I just couldn't eat enough lettuce fast enough. And then, these little guys are starting to get buried in the weeds, but they are doing their thing.
If you enjoyed that video, please leave a comment, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll talk to you later.